in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. I have a dream that
I'm Larry Crocker. I'm a white man, 67 years old, grew up in North Louisiana, and some of the ones that come right off to mind is in the 8th grade when they wouldn't let our black students play in our own gym for a Saturday basketball league. The city recreation department was borrowing our gym to have this Saturday basketball league and wouldn't even let our black students play. We were definitely, there was discrimination in the local movie theaters where all the black people had to sit in the balcony at once, and then we come down to a concession stand that only had a window where we had the full concession stand, the popcorn machine and everything, and they had to place all their orders through a little small window. As a kid growing up and going to the doctor's office, there were not any, or if so, very few black doctors, and so most of them came to white doctors, and they had separate waiting rooms, and they would have much smaller waiting rooms, and we had much nicer furniture in our waiting rooms as white people. And it was just very obvious that the blacks were treated as second-class citizens in the South in the 60s and the 70s when I was growing up.
Hi, I'm George Temple. I grew up in the 50s in Kansas City, Missouri, and I had a black friend that lived in the basement of the apartment complex I lived in. His dad was the maintenance man, and he and I played every day, and I didn't really know the difference between his life and mine. And there was a public pool about a quarter mile away from our apartment, and I kept waiting for summer to come and them there to put water in it, someone to put water in it. And he and I were riding our bikes in the park one day, and I saw the water was in the pool and there was people around it. I got excited and I started pedaling towards the pool, and I said, "Come on, Terry, come, the pool's full." And as I was getting closer, the lifeguards at the pool all put up a barrier to stop me and Terry from coming in. And I didn't understand why. Terry turned around and went home, and I was hollering at him, "Come on, come on." And then when Terry left or went the other way, the people moved aside and let me come in because I was white. And that was my first time I ever really realized that segregation existed and that my friend wasn't the same as me.
down in Alabama with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
So I'm Dr. Oscar Passley. I teach music here over at the Eastfield campus of Dallas College. I'm 45 years old, I wasn't old enough to experience segregation, but I still grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and so the story I'm going to tell you happened to me when I was about 14. So I was going to go pick up my my little brother from school, who was right up the street. So I was walking, and I had a piston starter jacket on, very bright. I love this jacket, but it just so happens that the police were out looking for somebody with the same jacket on that I had. So I was walking down the street and I heard "stop." And I said, and there was a police officer running down the street, but I was like, that can't be me. So I kept on walking. He said, "Stop" again, but I kept on walking and he must be talking to somebody else. Then he said, "Stop or I'll shoot." And so then I looked around, he had his gun drawn. So I stopped, and then he told me to get on my knees, and I got on my knees. And he stuck the gun to my head and said, that I had fit the description of somebody that had committed a crime. And then he called backup, and they came out, and so a neighbor came out and said, he's just a kid. He asked for my wallet. Of course, I was 14, I didn't have a wallet. But it was very scary, and they ended up letting me go. But it became very apparent that I fit the description of a young black a kid that just happened to have this jacket on. He was ready to really shoot. So it was really scary. It was very scarring. And to this day, I am very wary of police officers because of when that happened.
Janice Hunter is my name. Born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm 74 years old. And the lessons I think, even my generation, but mainly the generations coming up, from the experiences that mine, no matter how mild, and the people around the world, is you look at things on both sides. Don't form an opinion that somebody wants you to form. Think for yourself. Once you get that answer, you got to take. You will not let racism or anything else enter into your life because you've seen the best of everything. And that's you, your mind. Never let anybody talk you into anything because the final word or chance is always yours. I don't care if they put a gun to you and said, I will kill you. Well, you got a choice. Either let them kill you or move on. I say learn from their experiences. My grandmother always said, learn from your mistakes. And if you can't learn from yours, learn from the mistakes all around you and check your answer. My first opinion was, oh Lord, here we go again. And like I said, I was just wondering how we came to this beginning. And I was afraid for my son, being a black man. No matter whether you were right or wrong, they would pull you over and they could arrest you because you were black. And that still happens today. I have one white grandson and one black grandson. And so I'm hoping that my son is raising them to understand, like I did, people are all people. If you cut your finger and I cut mine, I'm gonna be able to tell whose blood it is until they run the test. That's it.